Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truth. Everybody doing this evening? Well, tonight's live is going to be on understanding the Second Amendment. Last night was understanding the American mindset. Maybe I'll do a series on understanding America. I think tomorrow I may do one on understanding our constitutional republic. By the way, after listening to these politicians talk about gun control, I can't take it anymore. I got to do a video on the Second Amendment. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed your Sunday. You know, like I say, we got to take time and we can enjoy ourselves because we deal with enough stress. So when you can take time to enjoy yourself, do it. You know, today was nice and cool out. I put some shorts out. You know, I normally ride horse in the morning, but since it's been cooler, I like riding in the afternoon better. So I got to take Beauty out for a ride, and I got to make a couple shorts and stuff about the Second Amendment. And so I decided I would do the live stream on it tonight. But anyway, I just found out here on the wheat crop that a lot of these fields aren't harvested, and I was wondering why for the wheat. Just a heads up to people, the prices may go up a little bit, but a lot of the wheat around here had such a bad year. The winter wheat is planted in September and is harvested in July, but a lot of the fields they didn't harvest because there was no weight to the wheat and stuff. The wheat was no good. So anyway, that's just this one area. Believe me, on the 2,000-mile harvest that this country had, that's the name of it too, 2,000-mile harvest, where these custom harvesters go from Texas all the way up to Montana, and then some of them even into Canada to do the wheat harvest. And, you know, it's just as they go north, the wheat ripens. So everything's not ripe at the same time. Anyway, let's get into the subject tonight. Understanding the Second Amendment. There's a lot of people in this country that don't understand the Second Amendment. First, we got to take the mindset, the contents of what the Second Amendment was created in, what time period. It was created. Hey, Strictly Cycling, how's it going tonight? I tell you what, last night live stream, it was crazy. Okay, I don't know what happened. I was on a roll with Rosie the Riveter, and then they just cut it down. And then when I sat there and did another live stream, and I did another live stream right after that on the same subject, and it picked up, but I couldn't see the chat at all. So I don't know who was in the chat or it's Snake. Snake Bliskin. Oh, that is after Snake Bliskin off of Escape from New York and stuff. Anyway, but we're going to discuss understanding the Second Amendment, okay? Like I say, the Second Amendment was written in a time where the founding fathers and the citizens of this country had just fought a war against a tyrannical government. Okay? And, you know, this was a war that was fought to make men free. Have you ever been to Indianapolis? Just driven through there on the interstate. That's all. I've never stopped there for anything, but I've that was many years ago, well over 30 years ago, so it's been a while. Back when the speed limit on the interstate was 55, that's the last time I drove through Indianapolis. Have you ever been to California? Yes, in the Marine Corps, and I'll never go back to that state. You know, when you got to sit there and stop to go into the state. Remember the fruit fly thing in the 70s? Maybe you people don't. Well, that's when they came up with stopping all the cars before they came into California. Well, that was back in the 70s. It's 2020s, and you still every vehicle's got to stop to go into California. It's like going into another country. Forget it. And then it's just despicable. You're driving down the road, it looks like garbage trucks open their back ends up of the truck and went driving down the road and the garbage is laying everywhere. Are you kidding me? Everything's expensive. California lost cause with all the drug epidemic. Oh, yeah. And doesn't in California, don't they have places for addicts to shoot up give them needles and stuff. You know, they not only say it's okay, they help facilitate the problem on the California taxpayers' dough. Anyway, so let's get into instead of this sidetrack, let's get into why we got the Second Amendment. And then the California people can figure it out, because this is after Governor Newsom's retarded stuff he was saying. Okay, first thing I'm going to say, the Second Amendment is not about controlling crime. It's about controlling tyrants, okay? That's why the tyrants don't like the Second Amendment. Now, let's not say you can't stop crime with the Second Amendment. Can you imagine, let's say you want a thief, somebody wants to rob a convenience store, right? Walks into a convenience store, but 5 people in that convenience store are wearing a sidearm that he can see. Do you think he's going to sit there and try to rob that store? Every second you moan, I will give you. You know what, J99, get rid of that retard. I don't have time for children on this channel. Adult children are harder to deal with than real children. Okay? I mean, we're trying to have a serious discussion. But anyway, yeah, we got to look at the context of when the Second Amendment was created, after the Revolutionary War. Okay? It was about making sure that this country, they knew, Thomas Jefferson said we'd have to fight for our liberty and freedom every 20 years. Water the tree of liberty with both the blood of tyrants and patriots. Besides the Civil War, let's say we've gone 160 years since that's happened. Okay? It's beyond time. But these politicians have no clue. They want to connect it with controlling crime. If crime is going down so much because of their gun control laws, then why do we need more laws? Why do we need more restrictions? Why do we need more cops on the street if everything's going so good? I mean, we got the ATF. We got a 3-letter agency that regulates our Second Amendment. Regulates it. Okay? Congress comes up with these unconstitutional laws that restrict people from having guns, and their language, and then all of a sudden bump stocks are illegal, right? You want to get into the Second Amendment and about a well-regulated militia. That's what they always bring up, right? A well-regulated militia. What do you think all us vets are? We are extremely well-regulated militia. All us vets that you politicians have created over the last 35 years. Okay? So there you go. Criminals would get their hands on illegal firearms either way. They don't care about restrictions, regulations. Yeah. Exactly. Criminals don't care. I mean, in Minnesota now, and I heard this is in other states, where you got to have your gun in one safe with a trigger lock on it, your ammunition in another safe locked up. Okay, if you got a home invasion, tell me that the crooks just people that invade people's homes, and God, these dumbasses just keep passing laws. I mean, a liberal thinks they're going to get, or even these Republicans think they're going to legislate people to be good. Okay, it's never going to happen. But yeah, they want to disarm the American citizen. But, they say crime's going down. Okay, I hear Governor Newsom spilling this stupid shit. Defending it, like I say, the Second Amendment is not about controlling crime. It's about controlling tyrants. There are a lot more law-abiding citizens in this country than there are criminals, okay? And if all law-abiding citizens are packing, okay, I'll go into a story real quick about a little old lady, but hey, if you want to help support the channel, hit that thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Anything to help the channel out so I can get the word out. I don't ask for money. I'm not going to sound like an infomercial, okay? Information should be free. Knowledge should be free. And making yourself free shouldn't cost you nothing. But anyway, story about the little old lady in Minnesota, right? Grandmother. Cop pulls her over. And he sees one of her guns, right? And he goes, it was, like a 40, it was a bigger gun, right? And then he goes, talked about it. He goes, you got another one in here, ma'am? He goes, yes, she did. She had one in her console, a littler gun, right? And then, he asked, you got another one, ma'am? And she had one in her glove box. He looks at her, what are you afraid of, ma'am? She goes, not a fucking thing. Billy the Kid was just a little person. But he used his equalizer to equalize stuff, I guess, didn't he? The Second Amendment, the thing is, these criminals were to be put on notice. Guess what, criminals? Everyone you try to commit crime against is going to be armed and can take you out. What do you think's going to happen to crime? Maybe we should all carry guns and ride horses like the wild. That's what I do out here. Out here in Nebraska, I can ride horse through town with my rifle in my sheath along my saddle, my pistol on my side, right through town, past all the cops, and they can't do a damn thing because they can see it. And like I say, you go into a convenience store, somebody goes in there to rob it, and you got 5 people in there that are carrying sidearms that robber can see. Do you think he's going to stay and rob that store? Hell no, he's going to be like, this is ridiculous. Do you think somebody's going to go shoot up a school if teachers are walking around with a sidearm? See, this concealed carry, it's fine, but I personally don't like it myself. Because to me, if you have a weapon and you are carrying it in concealed, you're asking for trouble. It's just, to me, I don't like it. I'd rather brandish the weapon on my hip so everybody can see I'm armed and I'm not playing fucking games. And anybody who wants to create hate and discontent someplace, realize that they got somebody to deal with. Okay? And this is another thing. I don't like to carry and conceal. A lot less crime would happen if a lot more people were armed and a lot more crooks could freaking see it. All they see is victims everywhere because you got legislation, gun control to try to stop crime. The criminals are just sitting there, they're controlling the law-abiding citizens. More free game for us. You don't think that's what they ain't thinking? Criminals, a lot of them aren't stupid. Some of them are, but some of them aren't. Some criminals are very intelligent. They just, went the wrong way. Oh, I'm sorry. I carry everywhere I go. Yeah, well, especially these days. It's you had a beat down in Cincinnati, you had a shoot up in Manhattan. There's gun violence every day in this country. Your car could get surrounded by a bunch of morons because they don't like the color of your car. And you got to defend yourself. Yeah, this is the world we live in. They're the smartest criminals are in Washington. Well, they're the ones that can definitely fool a lot of people. Some of us, obviously some of us aren't fooled, but they sure do fool a lot of people. I'm telling you, it's amazing. When I saw what happened in 2020 and 2021 and still people in their cars scared to death, wearing a mask with nobody in their car and their windows rolled up, still happening today. Those people have been scared beyond belief. They will never be free again, ever. Their minds are always looking for not only a criminal across the corner, everybody's a potential death threat to them because they're breathing. Anyway, one thing I want to say about gun control too, right? all these politicians say the crimes are going down. Oh, crime's going down because of gun control. Okay, how many deaths were caused by guns, gun violence in Ukraine because we're giving Ukraine military arms, ammunition, and weapons? Okay, how many? Thousands and thousands. If they're saying they're killing Russians like they say they are every day, what about gun violence in America? But there's no law against or rules against giving Ukraine weapons, are there? See, this is these retarded. What did Lindsey Graham say? Best money spent was killing Russians? Okay, Lindsey Graham, then you go over there. Take your kids with you at the same goddamn time. How many mass shootings in America last year? I don't know. Too many to count. And this year, this summer, woo! I mean, you had that Fort Stewart. And like I say, that should be a lesson to all you Call of Duty warriors that want to take us vets on. Okay, you had 5 Army vets charge Army and the sergeant shooting a gun, and not one of those 5 were armed, and they took them down. Imagine what they could have done with guns, being trained like that. So you Call of Duty warriors that want to take us vets on, even though we're older gentlemen, I would highly suggest against it. That doesn't mean I live in fear. No, you should live in fear. J99, it's all about reacting to a situation. Being prepared to react to a situation. Okay? But that's what gun control has turned into, because our country's become so violent, because nobody sees the real enemy of this country, which is the government. It's dividing everybody. So everybody thinks the Second Amendment is about protecting their ass from their fellow citizen. No, that's not what the Second Amendment's about. It's about protecting your ass from the government, the tyrannical government, which is causing people to get to the point where they think it's about defending themselves against their neighbor. I tell you this one thing about this discussion tonight. You know how many countries, and if you're here from another country, sound off, would love to have the Second Amendment, would love to have it? In the countries that did used to be able to have weapons, that can't no more. Look at Canada. They're about gone. Okay? These countries would love to have the Second Amendment, where there's stores in town where you can buy a gun. I mean, in England, you're not even allowed to carry a knife. If you're a butcher, don't you have to have a special license to have your knives and meat cleavers and stuff? They're still having crime over there. They don't have guns. Now they're outlawing knives, and they still have crime. So obviously, making laws to make people unarmed doesn't work. But let's get to the real reason why we have the Second Amendment. Like I say, they had just fought a Revolutionary War. They just fought a war against tyrants. And they didn't want us to have to, everybody says we need a miracle from God to save this country. We do. It's called the Second Amendment. That's the miracle we got when this country was created. Whether we choose to use that miracle or not, well, that's up to us, okay? But they want to make sure that they only had 20%. So I'm sure they figured if we could get 20% of the population that would rise up against a tyrant, we could keep the country free. But they didn't realize how much a welfare system would take people, where it get to people would want to give up their freedom and their liberty for a government's subsidy or an entitlement or an EBT card or whatever. Anything to make their life a little easier, these people are willing to give it up. And that's why, okay? people like us, middle class and stuff, us hardworking men and women, okay, we can't think that way. We're not programmed that way. And we definitely don't feel it's right. We have to pay for the shit. Okay. But what is the film? What was the film? Where are we at? There are miracles every day. I know. Just this, the miracle every day these days with the people we got in charge of the planet is being able to wake up every day to what we would call normal. One day that's all going to end, folks. If we don't stand up all over the world. See, this is one thing. I got a feeling when this catches on and if you want to call the rebellion starts, it's going to start in one country and it's going to become worldwide. All it's going to take is a spark in one country for the people to go nuts and take their country over. And I'm talking a big Western country, Germany, Britain, France. Sparks start here. Okay. You know, then these politicians are going to be running scared. Okay. Anyway, sorry guys, I can't read the chat that much. Any government naturally degrades morally over time. America needs to reshuffle a two-party system. How many senators, Congress? We're following like Rome. Okay? Hard times make strong men. Easy times make weak men. We've gone over the pinnacle in our country. I always say the pinnacle of our country was the 80s, the 90s, the 80s and 90s. I'm going to say before 9/11. You know, before 9/11, this country thought way differently of liberty and freedom. Before 9/11, if the government would be trying to do this shit to us now, back then, what they're doing to us now, there's no way it would ever happen. We would have rose up. But see, this is one thing these politicians need to realize. They gave us this, not only the Second Amendment, but the Declaration of Independence. Telling it was for all people of the world. The Constitution and Declaration of Independence is quoted by many people in many countries. Because it doesn't matter where you grow up, the feeling of freedom is always going to be there. I mean, they can sit there and say we're free in this country. We ain't freaking free. Everybody sits there, well, tell me what you can't do today compared to 2025 or compared to 1789. What state are we talking? Because I guarantee you in 1789, when the Constitution was ratified and enforced, the Founding Fathers didn't expect that it was going to degrade to the level that it has. Without, like Thomas Jefferson said, water the tree of liberty with the blood of patriots and tyrants, okay? The miracle is that you're able to wake up every morning, and when you do wake up, let's try to wake up everybody else. I like that. That is cool as hell. When you wake up in the morning, try to wake up everybody else. Oh, I love that. I love that. That's what I'm on here for. You know, I don't need to be on YouTube. It takes up a lot of my time. But you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice my time and whatever it takes to sit there and turn this stuff around. If it comes to a high velocity exchange of ideas, and that's what it comes to. This Marine's prepared for that. But it's so hard to wake people up because they're just like in a trance. They can't see it. I mean, until they won all this war, right? Well, until the bombs are falling in their front yard, then they'll finally wake up. Does it have to get to that where some of us can see it? You know, I always say there's people that can't see it, the people that don't want to see it, and the rest of us that prepare for what we see what's coming. And there's just some people that can't see it. They don't look at the right information. They're so caught up in the P. Diddy culture or stuff like that. But I hear that the Gen Z is supposedly more conservative than us Gen Xers. Well, maybe they realized and had enough and realized that they can sit there and pay for this shit the rest of their life. But it's going to come to a time where we have to stand up. I always say the people that don't believe in the Second Amendment or like it, that's okay. The ones of us that do, we'll still protect you from the government, okay? We'll still protect them. Your vibe looks like give the formula for luck. There is no formula for luck. I don't believe in luck. I believe in sometimes the situation just goes your way, but proper planning prevents piss poor performance. 6 P's in the Marine Corps. That's what I think luck is. Is that a good answer? Chances don't exist. Anyway, we need, us vets, we took an oath. We can't sit there and watch this no more, especially if we've been overseas and we saw this violence over there. We can't accept this no more. Our country's been hijacked. And these politicians want to disarm us so bad. Then we have Biden get up there and say, oh, unless you have F-15s and Hellfire missiles and nuclear weapons, you ain't going to hurt us with your AR-15s. Then why are you trying to take them away? If you don't even fear them at all, then why are you trying to take them away? And I also say, Washington doesn't understand because it's full of beta males. And they think because they got the military to stand behind, they can sit there and act all tough. But how many beta males does an alpha or sigma male fear? None. That's why we don't fear the government. And that's why these beta males just, oh my goodness gracious. Why the hell would we fear something? Natural selection eventually kicks in. You want to be a beta male your whole life, that's your choice. Some of us didn't choose that. Some of us went and decided to challenge their manhood. Fetch me muskets, I tell you what. Whatever it takes. We don't even need guns no more to take the other side down. All you got to do is yell the truth at them, and they're cowering their foxholes. Oh, quit, I can't handle it. It's too much of the truth. Like the garbage I went through on this channel last night. Picking up and stuff. Shutting my live stream down. Just canceling it again. Disconnecting me from my live stream, and then when I go live again right after that live stream took off, but I wasn't allowed to see none of the chat. Why do they do that? Anyway, all these tyrants will understand. Okay, we all thought Donald Trump was going to come in, and well, I did, because I know Donald Trump ain't no George Washington. All right, I know he's not. He's the best president ever. If you want to see the best president ever, read George Washington's words while he was General Washington in charge of the Continental Army, and see what kind of a great time he was having. Not wishing his situation even on his worst enemy. Okay? And when they wanted to make him king, he said no. Didn't want to run a second term because he was feeling ill and didn't want to die in office and become worshipped of something he wasn't. You think Donald Trump would say no to that? Hey, Donald Trump, we're going to make you king tomorrow. Sounds good to me. Let's get her going. Anyway, this is the world we live in. This is why they gave us the Second Amendment, everybody. And this is why these tyrants and these people that want to control us want to take it away from us, because they realize it doesn't take 50% of us. It doesn't take 40% of us. I would say it takes at least 30% of us, but over 50% of us would well over support getting our country back to the way it started, okay? You know, the things that made it great, being a moral Christian country. You can be an atheist all you want in this country, but being a good moral Christian country was part of what made this country great. It's what part of saved Europe's ass twice. Okay? I grew up in small town Minnesota, farming community in Minnesota. Okay? My grandfather and a lot of the men that served in World War II around my area were the ones that landed on Omaha Beach that morning, because they took the farm boys from Iowa and Minnesota to form those divisions. Okay, those people, when you grow up around that, how am I not supposed to know what independence and stuff is? How am I not supposed to in school when they're, when we were going through school, they taught us what the amendments were, what it meant and stuff. But then again, they didn't realize that, we were actually going to come to a time in a very short time when people in their students they were talking to might actually have to sit there and fight what they were being taught. I mean, if my American history teacher were to try to taught some of the stuff they're teaching now, that non-American citizens have constitutional rights and all that other stuff, he'd have got fired. They'd have got fired. But anyway, strange times. Please call for help me out and get to join. Please, can you help me out get a job in the United States? Hey, I tell you what, you want to do it legally, you got the H-1B visa program. I don't like it, but there's lots of guys that do it. You just got to go through the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Homeland Security, and get an FBI background check. Oh, and you got to pay for everything yourself, and you got to come up with a medical insurance policy when you come over here. That's what you got to do if you do it legally, okay? That's just to work here. Then you sit there, get in with a good employer who likes you and he sponsors you, and you're on your path to citizenship. But like I say, do it the legal way. So, you can stand proud when you say, I'm an American citizen. The people who hate illegal immigration the worst are the ones who came here legally. Okay. And I knew people that came here on H-1B visas that got their citizenship after their 5 years and stuff going through it. Okay. We need good people in this country. But I also believe if you become a citizen of this country, you become a citizen of this country, not a dual citizenship kind of garbage. Okay. Your loyalties need to lie with the United States of America like it used to be. But anyway, I just want to put my Democrats had the fly. Trump was supposed to fix all this. Him and I tell you what, strictly cycling. Oh, security. Hey, how's it going? Appreciate you being here there, Sonny. Anyway, yeah, he's a disappointment. The thing is, get rid of the illegals, right? And then, we're going to give amnesty to the agriculture workers because nobody here wants to pick tomatoes. And the restaurant workers and hotel workers. This is the thing, people. Americans are going like Rome in this way, too. We are exploiting foreigners so they can become servile to us. It's just, maybe I just see things differently, but we're not bringing them here to benefit them. People used to come to America to benefit themselves and America, become a better person, become a successful person, and benefit their new country. Okay, our government's not like that. The businesses aren't like that. They want to benefit. They don't want the person benefiting. They want to benefit. Cheaper labor, whatever the case may be. Work them longer, don't have to have, it all comes down to money. And then voting a certain way. But they don't want their lives to be better. Exploiting them. I don't know how else you put it. Epstein brother exposed just how close Epstein and Trump really were. Mark Epstein says Trump was lying about finance. Yeah. It's all one big club. But see, this is the thing. We all know the truth. They say they're holding an investigation. Well, jeepers crepes, just watch social media. I know it can be crazy. But we all know the truth, and the government's got to hold investigations on what we already know the truth is. The only thing that's going to bring the list to light is that the people of the world, because I do believe, list is in Israel now. Because they're using it to blackmail people now. They took over Epstein's position. And Israel seems to be doing a lot better job of it. Hell, it's publicized, basically. You can see the strings on the puppet, and they don't even care. So, crazy times, people, crazy times. Cycling dude is hey. Trump is clearly furious. White House is frustrated, all-consuming Epstein coverage. I wonder if it hiding... Yeah. But the thing is, we need to hammer them harder. I will not give up. I know I was lied to. I will not stop. I put on another short, the E-list. I said people are not required to tell the truth, and people are not required to believe a lie. You understand that, people with the list that don't exist? Security, sorry, you can't hands the truth. Sounds like you're a personal. Hey, strictly cycling, don't be getting on Sonny. Security, he's quite okay. Everybody gets along in chat. But I've known security for quite a while. He was back when I was on Lone Wolf Prepper and stuff. Anyway. Where was I at now? Just want to control a little bit. Like I say, nobody's got to agree. We just, like I say, we're on the sinking ship together. And that's where things get. You missed my message, cycling. You misread my message, cycling. Okay. Anyway, everybody, there's going to be times like that, miscommunications. People get upset, but we need to discuss them, instead of be like, oh my God, we've got to throw hate around. Like I say, the enemy is Google when they get in the chat and stuff. But Sonny, strictly cycling, he's a friend of mine too, you say, and he's out of New York. He's a personal trainer. He's 65 years old. He grew up on a dairy farm in New York. Strictly cycling, in North Dakota, one of the coldest places on earth. And, he's just like us, stuck in the middle, stuck with the 50%, with the 25% mega Republicans out there that worship everything and Trump can do no wrong, and the liberal Democrats, wherever they're at, depending on the day, they got to sit there and watch the news and see what they're going to be upset about that day. And the rest of us, 50% in the middle. We are the majority. The majority ruled by the minority. That's why this government don't work either. Because we're ruled by them. Ruled by them. That is not what our government was based on. We're supposed to rule them. They're supposed to make sure that I'm free to live and pursue my happiness. If you're pursuing your happiness and doing everything you can to succeed, you're not worrying about what your neighbor's doing, where he's at his level of success, because you're worried about your own. But we're being ruled by DC. Stupid ass shit. I mean, strictly cycling, you remember it? When Jimmy Carter lost the election to Reagan, did the whole country burn down? When Ford lost the election to Carter, did the whole freaking world burn down? They don't want them days to come back. People got along. You know, back in the days when Monica Lewinsky was a big story, she wouldn't even be a side note these days. But that's how boring, if you want to say it that way, the world used to be. Wasn't it great when the world was boring? When we weren't paying for all these massive wars? When we weren't going in debt as fast as we are now? If Trump isn't a pedo by not releasing the list, yeah, this is what I always said. He is protecting them. He knew about it. He knew about it before his first term. You know, it came up, Epstein goes, I distanced myself from him because I knew something wasn't right. He knew what was, whatever the case may be. You ain't going to convince me Trump didn't know. And he knew, and he did nothing as president. And then they arrest him and they have all this evidence for what, a year and a half while he's still president? They had all the evidence. And then he runs up. It's just a thorn that won't go away in my side. Like I say, on this live stream, we go 42 minutes. How many kids around the world have been grabbed and thrown into vans to be sold into sex slavery and maybe even sacrificed? And we have adults in charge that don't give a shit. Okay? I don't know, strictly cycling, do you have kids? I know Sonny doesn't. J99 I know does. She's got a kick-ass daughter in the Army. Another woman that ain't going to take shit from nobody. I tell you what. You know. But anyway. Yeah, when it comes time that we finally use the Second Amendment, that we finally, like I say, the First Amendment is so we can tell the government our grievances. Okay? We can expose, tell them the grievances. Hell, the press is supposed to be instead of the American people hounding the government, it's supposed to be the press. They're supposed to be our barrier telling us the crooked shit the government's doing. That's why we had freedom of the press. Well, the press ain't doing that no more. So we're the ones having to expose it. And you got the press covering it up. God, the founding fathers had no clue what this turned into. But then again, in 1994, when I first got out of the Marine Corps and I saw the writing on the wall back then, I couldn't wake people up and stuff. If we could have changed it back then, but people weren't ready. But I never thought in my life that it would have got as bad as it had without people rising up by now. And then the pandemic, that was a plandemic, Game of Simon Says, people were just giving up their freedoms and stuff and their liberties because somebody said there was a bad cold going around. And then the cure for the cold is far more dangerous than the cold itself. Of course, that truth will never come out. Everyone who was reading my messages earlier, I have terrible grammar skills. My point is the Second Amendment is for we the people, and the government doesn't bother with legal. Yeah. And the thing is, the Second Amendment is not for the cops or the federal police force so they can control crime. Okay, YouTube's playing its games. I'm telling you, they don't want me to get the word out. Am I still there? Can I get a 5x5? They disconnected me. I don't know if I'm still on. I tell you what, YouTube, I'm just a little guy. I'm a nobody. On my channel, trying to get my little message across. And they do everything they can to mess with it. Can I? Okay, thank you for giving me that. Because last night they cut me off. I tell you what, I was on a roll. The American mindset. I was up to Rosie the Riveter. And they cut that baby down like crazy. I mean, they don't. Well, last thing social media will want is empowering women, right? Anyway, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. This is why I need, if you're watching and you like the content, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe and the bell notification. Because I am one person on the sinking ship that is trying to scream over the band play and saying, hey, let's all get organized here and maybe we could save a few of us before the ship goes down. That's one thing about the Titanic I never understood. He had 2 hours as it goes down. Why didn't somebody at least individually try to sit there and make little rafts for themselves, something to float on? I just never understood that. Poor boy is tired. Oh yeah, tired of a lot of stuff. If Trump can sign executive order to lower drug prices, why isn't Trump signing executive orders to lower the price of gasoline, groceries? Yeah, exactly. You can't. I mean, executive orders only. See, this is one thing people don't understand. Executive orders that he signed only deals with the federal government. I mean, he can sign executive orders about lowering shit all day long, but a company can look at him and say, okay, I think so. It's not like he's a king and just can make a decree and shit. You look like entertainment for the Jews, nothing more. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Obviously, you haven't watched my content. I haven't been too easy on Israel lately. But hey, that's what happens when you watch about 10 seconds of what I say and come up with judgment. These are people that don't even look at the cover of the book. You know, you can't judge a book by its cover. They don't even look at the cover. They just judge it right away. Oh, he said the word R differently than I wanted him to say it. He's a bad guy. Jesus Christ, get a decent job, pay for the bills. I don't make no money on YouTube. I make plenty of money. But besides, I live a poor, humble life, dude. I live off about $600 a month. So it just shows you I got plenty of money. I'm doing this because it needs to get the fucking word out. You don't want to listen to it, go ahead and put your head in the sand. And when somebody shoots you up the ass, you'll know I was right. All about money. Like I said, there's another one that needs to watch some more of my content. You know? They think they know everything. You know, not everybody's tempted by a worthless green piece of paper. But some people are. You know, but then again, some people can chase that almighty dollar. Maybe I caught it once and decided I didn't like what happened when I caught it. What do you think of that, dumbass? I thought a humble, poor life was a lot easier than having money. Some people are just strange in that way. You know, if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. Go chase that dollar bill. Make sure that carrot's in front of your nose all the time. And you're just running and running and running. And I guarantee you, you'll never find happiness in the world. I never understood when the pursuit of happiness turned into the pursuit of having the biggest bank account. I mean, can you imagine living your whole life accumulating property, accumulating money, so you can sit there and say, I was the richest person I knew when I died? That's just not my goal at all. I'm on YouTube to get the word out, the truth out. Now, the one thing about people that do make a living on YouTube, like I say, if I was to make a living on YouTube, would I say, if you want to help support the channel, hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and bell notification, because this channel will never sell anything, ask for money, or donations. Would I say that if I wanted money? Boy, it must be nice to know something. I can just see these people, right? They walk into a classroom, first day, been there 5 minutes. I'm ready to take the final exam for the year. I know everything. I was here for 5 minutes. I'm good to go. This is the people you deal with. You know why? Because they've never been told they were wrong. And they think everybody sits there and has the same ambitions in life they do, to sit around, make a lot of money, and do nothing with their life. If you pulled one of Trump's hairs, his comb over would unravel like a cheap Christmas. I tell you what, like I say, strictly psychically, I say I get big kicked in the gut. He had said that everything he said was a lie. I mean, people can say immigration. What? Immigration on what? He's not kicking them, the criminals. We're getting rid of the criminals. They're all criminals, okay? They're all criminals. Every last one of them. They came here illegally. That makes them criminals. So we're just not going to kick out the really bad criminals, right? Wouldn't it be nice in the United States if I could break a law and then get rewarded for it? What law could I break and get rewarded for it? Oh, I know. Let's say I do 90 and a 65, and instead of getting a ticket, the cop gives me a $100 bill. That'd be insane. And that's what we're dealing with. Okay? Boy, 53 minutes already. It's amazing how fast this hour goes. But I sure appreciate everybody being here. Like I say, you look at some of my other content, and you'll see why some of these comments are retarded about me. I am a very unusual person. I like being humble. I like being poor. It helps me serve the Lord better. It keeps human beings off my ass. I'm not into pleasures of the flesh. So it's not like you're going to, well, see, I don't like money. See, another reason I learned that was when I was in the Marine Corps and I was overseas and we go over these other countries because we have money and treat them like shit. I saw what money really freaking did. And any respect I had for it went on the wayside, okay? So you can't tempt me with money, can't tempt me with drugs. And I've been divorced 3 times, so I like the single life. What are you going to get me with? I live an extremely happy life here. Watch my videos, riding horse, out where I'm fencing out in the pastures, middle of nowhere. Know what true freedom feels like. Oh, you people that chase a dollar bill, that's your happiness? Are you ever free? And like I say, it's worthless, okay? A massive tariffs on millions of Americans' purchases just went into effect. One of the chaos Americans might not have felt major effects on the Trump sweeping tariffs until now. You know, it doesn't matter who gets in the office. Biden wasn't no better. Just got the Afghanistanis that we said we'd never leave them, that got held, dropped off the planes as they were flying down the runway. Or the American Marines that were killed. Or the American citizens that were shot down by the ATF or FBI at 6 a.m. no-knock raids. The thing is, we all see the problem. Now we need to discuss how to fix the problem, how to come together. Instead of, when you sit there and you're at the gym or whatever, and you're talking to people and they're up, and you guys are talking about problems, and say, how could we fix this? How could we come together and fix this? Like I say, create your own little group to help fix the problem. And then the little groups will come together and form bigger groups. Like I say, first you get your fire team together, then you get your squad together, then you get your platoon together, then you get your platoon together, and then your company together, and then your battalion together, and you build from there. See, this is the thing. The difference between the Revolutionary War and now. Why did we have the rich people like John Hancock, the richest man in North America and stuff, fighting for the revolutionary cause? Because they were being affected the worst. The average person didn't have a lot of money, okay? It was the middle class and the way uppers, higher up, that were getting affected by all the policies, the tax policies that Britain was coming down with. That's why you had the higher ups, all the bigwigs that were, we had the foundation for them to come together, create the fabric for the smaller guy that was getting screwed over to follow. Well, we don't have that this time. This is going to have to come from the grassroots up, because the higher ups, the elites, aren't being punished. They're suffering. If they suffer, they just print more money and give them more money. That's why it's us, the middle class and stuff. I mean, you're middle class. I made money like that. Talk about being freaking punished. Punished. I refuse to work to make all that money to give to the government. I refuse my time. That's why I like living poor too and humble, because it's my time. My time. I use the time the way I want to, because God gave me time on this earth. And like I say, it gives me the time to serve him. Trump, I ran the country and the world. Don't I look? But we have a dictator president who's supposed to lead the country. Not fun. Yeah. And then you got these people, these mega people that Trump 2028. See, those people on the mega side don't understand the Constitutional Republic. All this would go away. It would all go away if we followed the Constitution the way it was written. Government would have to downsize. We would downsize big time in government. Okay? States would have more control, like this new big, beautiful bill. States can't regulate AI for the next 10 years. Who's the government to take away the federal government the right of a state that a state should have? Okay? AI is not covered in the Constitution. So if you want the states not to be able to control the AI in their own state, then you need to have a constitutional amendment. You just can't pass a bill that has it in it and deny states their rights under the 10th Amendment. I hear you, brother. I'm a volunteer firefighter and about to be working an Amazon. Honestly, I love your mindset. Well, I appreciate it. Well, YouTube don't like my mindset. I appreciate you being here. I tell you what, hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button. Help this channel grow. And don't watch my shorts. Go to my content and watch my shorts. If you like this content, you'll extremely like my shorts. And share my shorts. Some are entertaining, but they're short. Anyway. Because you know what? This Marine ain't afraid to say shit. That firefighter will sit there walking, go into a burning building to save somebody. Yeah, he may have his equipment on, but that roof could cave in and at any freaking second. And then he's toast. How does it feel to be a real man? See, this is a problem in today's world. Men don't have to do anything to prove their manhood. And then people like you and I who are proved our manhood and are proving it, like I say, at my age, I still got these beta males that are in their 20s that challenge me. I don't know what to say about that. I just tell them, if you got to challenge me, you already lost. But I hit that like a while ago. I appreciate it. But yeah, first responders, firefighter. What's that bring to mind? That Idaho thing. Do firefighters need to start carrying sniper rifles with them now? Have a firefighter that's a sniper to protect them? Somebody that's on top of the fire truck? Crazy worlds we live in. And that whole thing, too, is a crock of shit, okay? 120-year-old does a military style ambush on the first responders, and they get in a gun battle, and all of a sudden they ping his phone and they find him laying dead up on the hill. You know what happened? There were a couple guys up, probably 3 guys up there. And that guy was the patsy. And after they did the damage they did, those other 2 guys, the terrorists, went and killed that patsy, and then they took off. Like I say, I want to see the bullet pulled from that kid to match up with one of the firearms of the cops. That shouldn't be too hard to do, should it? That should be a simple investigation. Join the Army was a great album. Trump gets reckless as his agenda tanks and pushback. Yeah. The thing is, world leaders are going to get tired of dealing with him. You're not dealing with businessmen, Trump. You're dealing with politicians, okay? Politicians and diplomat. If Trump's chief diplomat was acting that way, Trump should fire him. You can't act that way and then get on social media and just spill your guts. That's one circle. When you're a world leader and you guys are having arguments with each other, that is one thing that doesn't need to get out to the public at all for any reason. But anyway, that's just the way I feel about that. Sometimes I think Trump talks too much and sticks his foot in his mouth and makes things worse. And that's another thing, dictating to Russia. You will have peace with Ukraine by this date, or that's it. That's it. Whatever it is, right? Who is Trump to sit there and say, to dictate terms in a war where the U.S. is only supplying weapons for? Anyway, I didn't stay much on subject tonight. That's what happened when you get a lot of people. Security degree, 44, it's opposite. Security degree, I am 44, it's opposite. You voted for him? I got kicked in the gut. This is what happens when you got the lesser of 2 evils. No more. No more will I vote for a politician who says the word democracy. I will only vote for a politician that understands what form of government we have, a constitutional republic. When they start saying that, and that's what the live chat's going to be under tomorrow night, understanding our constitutional republic. I know I'm going to do a series this week on understanding America. Last night it was understanding the American mindset. Today's understanding the Second Amendment. Tomorrow's going to be understanding the Constitutional Republic. Understanding why everybody in the world said, wow. Back in the day, wow. Look at what those Americans did. They told the king to get screwed, won their independence, and became a nation of free men. Understand cult mindset. Is that my mindset? Well, I got to say, the Marine Corps might have a lot to do with my mindset. Growing up, getting my ass whooped, going to the Marine Corps and having to see what our government decided I needed to see and stuff. Understand Constitutional Republic, that will be awesome. Oh, I'm telling you. I'm expecting, I can't even believe YouTube is letting this live stream go. Because like I say, I was on a roll last night and they cut that baby down. Just, a lot of people on YouTube, there's a lot of people that can't sit there, they're feeling it. And they're anxious about it. And they want to talk to people about it, but they don't know how to bring it up. So they go to social media to try to get listening to content that how they're feeling, to help their anxiety, to know that they're not by themselves. And I want to know everybody, like I say, that's us in the middle 50%, Democrat, Republican, Independent, I don't care. We're all Americans. You're not alone. You're not alone. The average Republican doesn't hate the average Democrat. Just the mega Republican hates the liberal Democrat. The liberal Democrat hates the mega Republican, and both of them hate us in the middle. Because us in the middle are like, we don't want, anyway, we're the problem. With paid protesters. That's another thing. Paying people to protest. Whew, you definitely got the public behind you on that, don't you? Anyway, so I hope everybody got a little bit out of understanding the Second Amendment. It's about, like I say, controlling tyrants, not about controlling crime. And in the mindset when the Second Amendment was written was after the Revolutionary War, and free men were going to make sure men stayed free in this country. Okay? And that's what it's about. It's not about hunting. It's just because the United States has become so violent. Now they want to tie the Second Amendment to protecting yourself from your neighbor. When you need to sit there and be fighting with your neighbor against your true enemy, the government. And hopefully one day we'll get there. We'll get our leader that will lead us to that point. But like I say, this is a grassroots up. Ain't going to be no billionaire leading us. It's going to be some small guy that's not even on the radar yet. Okay? That's going to have to follow his destiny. Anyway, it's about protecting against home invasion. No, it's not. It's about, see, that's what it's turned into. It's about controlling tyrants. You tell me after they fought the Revolutionary War and they came up with the Second Amendment, they were worried about home invasion? That's what they were worried about? No, I think they were worried about tyrannical governments because Jefferson, the tree of liberty needs to be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots every 20 years. That doesn't sound like home invasions to me. But you can go ahead and believe what you want. Now, the Second Amendment can be used to help to protect you from your neighbor. But that's not the intentions of it. And I don't care what anybody fucking says. It's to protect you against tyrants. If somebody's trying to break in your house in the middle of the night, they're being a tyrant to your ass. You understand? And your Second Amendment gives you the right to protect yourself from that tyrant. Not all tyrants are in D.C. Did I get that clear? All I know, in the Marine Corps, I carried a weapon to protect my country and protect the American citizens, citizens like you. And I shall carry one until the day I die. Anybody got a problem with that? I can't stand people that don't understand what America is about. Like I say, when they start teaching in school what America is about, and it's enforced with not what they're teaching now. But no, I can't repeat that recycling. I can't. But like I say, I can turn Alex Jones, man, and turn into the calmest person the next minute. You know, people always say, man, you can explode just like that, go nuts. I said, yeah, how long does it take for a firefight to start? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, but that's the way I feel about it. Yeah, the Second Amendment is to protect us from tyrants. Tyrants in D.C. and tyrants that want to do home invasions in your house, and tyrants that want to sit there and shoot up your school, and tyrants that want to sit there and steal your kids off the street, and tyrants that want to rob the bank, and tyrants that want to sit there and shoot up a convenience store, rob a convenience store. Yeah, that's what the Second Amendment's for. I'm glad you got it right. Anyway, that's all I got for this evening. I'm glad you were all here. The land was stolen from the red days. Yeah. You know, but how far do you go back? You know, if you want to correct, say, oh, we're going to go this point and make all the wrongs righted. How far do you go back? Anyway, just a question. When you want to right all the wrongs that you feel have come in the world, how far are you going to go back? You're going to go all the way back to right the wrong when Adam and Eve bit into the apple? You can go all that far, all the way that far to correct the wrongs? Like I say, it's a rabbit hole that you cannot get out of. Anyway, this is all I got. Like I say, I appreciate everybody being here. Support the channel. Hit that thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. And I will be back tomorrow night with my understanding our constitutional republic. That should be a good one because I don't like the word democracy. Anyway, everybody have a great night. This is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out of here.